أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Alhamdulillah that Allah Ta'ala has been so kind and merciful that He has given us some more time to prepare for the eventuality that will befall all of us. All praise is due to Allah. We seek His help and forgiveness and refuge from the evil of our own self and from the evil of shaitan and from the evil of dunya and from the evil of human beings. Whomsoever Allah Ta'ala guides, none can misguide him, and whomsoever Allah Ta'ala misguides, none can guide him. And to be on the path of guidance, we make the effort of guidance. Ourselves trying to act on the commandments of Allah and try to proceed towards 100% obedience as per the Sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the best help for that is seeking ilm, knowledge, beneficial knowledge, and conveying to others. Allah Ta'ala will open doors of guidance for us, inshallah. And we bear witness that there is none worthy of worship, sole obedience of Allah Ta'ala, other than Him alone. And we bear witness that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is His messenger and worshipper. My earlier intention after going through du'as from Quran and Hadith, authentic Hadith, was to go through some of the Sunnah ways of doing our personal things, like eating and sleeping and living our personal life in Sunnah way, dealing with people. But then, and I'm thankful to Shopon for that. Can we rely on Hadith? In addressing that question, we are still going through that process. We haven't talked so much about the personal Sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his ways of doing things in his personal life. We haven't been able to start that even. So we went through the process of Hadith collection. Today is the 7th in that series. And today is the 9th session. The first two sessions we spent on the paramount importance of Sunnah as per Quran. The third one, in that we went through the painstaking process that was involved in verifying and authenticating Hadith, and the personalities involved in that process. The fourth and fifth, in that we went through the 4 schools of Islamic jurisprudence. In the sixth one, why there are differences in the 4 schools. In the 7th one, we talked about Imam Bukhari. In the 8th one, we talked about Imams Muslim and Abu Dawud. And today we will talk about Imams An-Nasai and At-Tirmidhi. And let me tell you at the outset that we may have our own opinion about these Imams, but once we go through their lives, you will possibly feel that in terms of effort and character and integrity, most importantly, the tremendous effort they put into search for authentic hadith, they are so close. It's like being within a range of 8 to 10 or 18 to 20, within that range. If Imam Bukhari is 20 out of 20 or 100 out of 100, the others would be between, say, 95 and 100 or 98 and 100, something like that. They are such exalted personalities. And I felt thankfulness to Allah Ta'ala, deep gratitude to Allah Ta'ala that I am not leaving the world without knowing about such great personalities. Not only these people, but also the Imams of the four schools. And in the process, I came to know about so many scholars that were involved in the process. These 6 muhaddith and the 4 jurists, the 10 and another 3, Ibn Hibban, Ibn Khuzaymah, and An-Nasai, what's his name? The name doesn't come to my mind right now. Bayhaqi. Their names come up, but there have been so many people in that struggle to authenticate hadith. So we have been in that process for the last 9 halakas, including today. And I think I'll spend one more halakah talking about the last among the 6 and a little bit, possibly a little bit about the remaining 3, Bayhaqi and Ibn Khuzaymah and Ibn Hibban, a little bit. And then, when you go through this profound process of learning, and I've possibly gone through at least 4 biographies on each one, you have some reflection of your own. So I want to share some of my reflections in the next halakha, after talking about Imam Ibn Majah, and maybe a little bit about the remaining 3 muhaddith. So Imam An-Nasai, his full name, like everyone else's, is lengthy. Abu Abdul Rahman Ahmad ibn Shuaib ibn Ali ibn Sinan ibn Bahar. So that last one should be the name of his tribe. Al-Khurasani, the name of the place he was born. Actually, he was born in Nisa. Actually, in those days, it used to be called Nasa. Today, it is called Nisa in Turkmenistan, but in Greater Khurasan. So therefore, Al-Khurasani, like Imam Bukhari, Bukhara is in Khurasan. In 214 Hijri. And this is the entrance to ancient Nisa or Nasa in those days, present-day Nisa, seen from western end. And you can see, I've put with an arrow here, Nisa. And you won't find Nisa and possibly in today's map. It should be there if it is a very detailed map. I couldn't get a very detailed map. So I had to look at an ancient map of the 1st century BC of the Parthian Empire. The green territory was the Parthian Empire in the 1st century BC, and Nisa can be seen. Marv is one of the largest ancient cities. There are huge ruins of Marv that can be seen today. So it is to the west of Marv. And why Marv is needed? Because in today's map, and this is today's map, so in place of Parthian Empire, we have Turkmenistan, and we need Marv. We need Marv. Here is Marv, as you can see in circle, and in red, what is that word? Oval. That would approximately be the location of present-day Nisa. His travels, student from a very early age, began his journeys at the age of 15, and he traveled to, first of all, the famous scholar Qutayba ibn Sa'id in Baghlan near his Nasa. After 14 months with Imam Qutayba, he traveled from place to place, from scholar to scholar. In Khorasan first. Khorasan was a very rich place in terms of this type of asset knowledge. And then he went to Al-Hijaz, Makkah, Medina, and other places of Hijaz where there were scholars, and to Egypt, to Iraq, and Asham. Actually, he went to Egypt at the end. Asham means, as I mentioned earlier, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and Jordan, which also includes present-day Israel. Abu Dawud was among his teachers. He had many teachers, and Abu Dawud was one of them. Abu Dawud was born only 5 years before An-Nasai. Now, to give you an idea, the thought struck me, okay, they used to travel, what distance would they travel? I could find distance from Nasa to Makkah. He went even all the way to Egypt also, but I want to find until Makkah. And the distance was about 3,500 kilometers. And there is a Imam Reza highway today, but there was no highway in those days. So if he traveled 4 kilometers per hour in those days, remember, it was 39 hours. It is 39 hours by car today. But in those days, there was no highway. There was these beaten tracks possibly. During the time of Harun al-Rashid, his wife built a track for Hajis from Baghdad to Makkah. But this path doesn't fall from Baghdad to Makkah for any part. So if he traveled 4 kilometers walking or sometimes on camelback, I don't think he was all that rich coming from a village to be able to buy a camel. But assuming camel, the speed would be walking speed of a human being. So 4 kilometers per hour, 10 hours per day. If somebody travels, so that is 40 kilometers. It must have taken him about 87 days. That means about 3 months traveling that distance. And he may not have gone all the way straight to Makkah. He may have gone to other cities. But at the end of the day, he has to travel even further, all the way to Egypt, that he did. So that is just to give ourselves an idea as to what is the extent of struggle. All these people actually, starting with Imam Abu Hanifa, or even before that, whoever was in search of knowledge. And this is actually following one of the traditions that soon students will travel from place to place seeking knowledge. It's a result of that, fulfilling that prophecy. So it's unimaginable. And today we, just have to move from one room to another and connect to Zoom to learn knowledge, or to YouTube to learn knowledge. You just have to have the will to understand the relative merit of this world versus the hereafter. His scholarship, he settled in Egypt finally, where students of Hadith came to him from everywhere. He was a great memorizer and critic of Hadith. Now, all these people were great memorizers. Otherwise, keeping in your head 5,000 or 7,000 or so many Hadith is without the most superior intellect is impossible. He was not just a memorizer, he was a critic of Hadith, one of the key figures in Muslim scholarship, renowned for his utmost extensive awareness of the defects of Hadith, because he knew about the people who were involved in the chain of narrations. There were previous Imams who wrote books on that, and the conditions of the narrators, fully aware of the juristic rulings and explanations of Ahadith. So he was a jurist also. A great scholar, Abul Hasan al-Nadwi, said he was the first to broach what is called nowadays comparative fiqh, and he had a great merit that the Muslim community has to admit. Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal was also a person of comparative fiqh, but Imam Nasai may have written books on that. Imam al-Hakim said, the sayings of Imam al-Nasai regarding the fiqh of Hadith are many, and one is astonished about the perfection of his words. He wrote Sunan al-Kubra first, big Sunan, collection of Hadith. It had thousands of Hadith. Subsequently, he compiled a book containing authentic Hadith, Ahadith only, and named it Sunan al-Sugra. Sunan al-Kubra, the big Sunan, and Sunan al-Sugra is the smaller Sunan. Wal-Mushtaba wal-Mushtana, the small Sunan carefully chosen. This book is popularly known as Sunan al-Nasai, for which Imam al-Nasai is best known for. That was his big contribution. Contains about 5,700 ahadith with repetitions in 52 volumes. Contains clarification of difficult words along with different narrations for particular hadith. So when he's presenting a hadith, he also presents where else can you find a similar hadith. So that was his big contribution. So that it becomes a one-stop list. You go through his book, you will know where else do I need to look at. But if you look at Imam Bukhari's work or Imam Muslim's work, they will not give you such aid. Mostly contains authentic hadith, which means there are a few weak hadith, but whenever he narrates a weak hadith, he explained the weakness. What was the nature of the weakness? Weak hadith also has their merits. They can support strong hadith. We cannot start an amal, an act based on weak hadith. But if an act is supported by Quran or strong hadith, then we can invoke weak hadith when it comes to, say, the virtues of the act. Virtues of the act can come from weak hadith. I'm just giving you an example of benefit of weak hadith. Weak hadith is not concocted hadith. There's weakness in the chain. If various books compared according to the ratio, this is as per one scholar, if various books compared according to the ratio of the compilation of authentic hadith, then it is third in ranking after Bukhari and Muslim, as per one scholar. Everybody doesn't agree with that. His other famous book is Al-Mujtaba, which is a briefing of his book of Hadith as Sunan al-Kubra. the big one. He authored many other books. He was a diligent worshipper at all times. And this was defining character of all these scholars that we have mentioned or are mentioning. Allah Ta'ala accepted them not just because of their scholarship, but because of their worship also, and their personal character, their humility. So he was a worshipper at all times, and his persistence in offering Hajj every year. He was in Egypt in the later part of his life, so coming to Makkah was not all that difficult. You simply had to cross the Red Sea, depending on where you were. Particular in participating in jihad, very particular, very courageous fighter, showed excessive boldness and sacrifice. And he used to fast every alternate day like Dawood alayhi salam. Imam al-Nasai received commendations from many prominent scholars on his encyclopedic memorization, memory, mastery, and awareness about narrators of hadith, ahadith, so he could point out defects. And these commendations, is only to understand his esteem. It all depends on acceptance by Allah. But we also want to get a sense of the type of scholar he was, or the level of sacrifice he went through. So what was his esteem among scholars? Imam al-Dhahabi, he was a very famous scholar. And I have quoted from him for every scholar, including Imam Bukhari, and including some of the other Aima. Imam al-Dhahabi said, there was no one at the onset of the 3rd Hijri more perfect, sorry, not 3rd Hijri, 300 Hijri. And that means at the onset of the 4th century, more perfect in memorization than An-Nasai. He was well versed in hadith, its deficiencies and narrators, even more than Imam Muslim, Imam Abu Dawud, and Imam At-Tirmidhi. And again, it's one person's opinion. He was in the same rank of Imam al-Bukhari and Abu Zura. I found an Abu Zura, but I didn't find anything significant about him, so I don't know which Abu Zura is Imam al-Dhahabi talking about. So basically he's saying that he is in the same rank of Imam Bukhari. Accepting or not accepting is up to a scholar. To us, it gives a sense of his esteem. Al-Qazi At-Taj-ad-Din As-Subki said, I asked our Sheikh al-Dhahabi, the same scholar on the previous slide, who was more perfect in memorization of memorization, Muslim or Nasai? And al-Dhahabi said, An-Nasai. And I mentioned this to my father, who agreed to it. Abu Abdullah ibn Manda said, those who narrated the authentic ahadith and distinguished the established from the deficient and the truth from falsehood are only 4. Al-Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, and Nasai. Imam Ad-Daraqutni said, Abu Bakr al-Haddad al-Shafi narrated lots of hadith. This is not Imam Shafi. Lots of hadith was narrated by this Shafi. But he did not narrate to others except the ahadith of An-Nasai. He said, I accepted him, An-Nasai, as an excuse between me and Almighty Allah. If Allah catches me, for a hadith, I can say it was quoted by, or it was considered authentic by Imam al-Nasai. So he thought he could give that excuse to Allah Ta'ala. Now, for every one of them, something struck me the most. And for Imam al-Nasai, this story struck me the most. While he was in Egypt, he was attending the lecture of a famous judge and scholar of Egypt, Al-Harith ibn Miskin. And Imam Nasai, he went to Egypt at the end after all his, Allah knows how many, 15, 16 years of travel. So he was very well versed by that time. He was a scholar by that time. But he still wanted to learn from this scholar, Al-Harith ibn Miskin. So he went to his house. He was also judge of Egypt. He went there, and Ibn Miskin saw An-Nasai, didn't know him well, saw him, and An-Nasai he was very handsome and elegant. So Ibn Miskin doubted him that this could be a government spy. Asked him to leave his house, leave my house, and see what Nasai does. He went out of the room. He sat at the door where the lecture was being given, so he could hear from outside the room. He did not want to leave the knowledge that he could get from this famous scholar. He was of that humility. He continued to sit at the door of Imam Miskin's house so that he could listen to the ahadith. Possibly he went out of the house, but he could hear the voice from outside the house, from the gate of the house. So he sat there and he listened. His death, being the best among people, they felt envy towards him. He moved to Ar-Ramla, to present-day Ramallah, where he was asked about Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan. There's a long story, and time won't permit me to get into that, about Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan. He was talking about the Sahaba and about Ali radiallahu anhu. And the supporters of Muawiyah asked him about Muawiyah ibn Abu Sufyan because he hadn't spoken about Muawiyah, though Muawiyah was among the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he was also the first to start a monarchy, and he fought Ali radiallahu anhu. So people asked him, what is your opinion about Muawiyah? And one narration says it was at Ramallah, and another narration says it was in the Grand Masjid of Damascus that he was asked. The Imam replied that there is a marfu hadith, that means it goes all the way to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about Muawiyah, which says Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam once said, may Allah never fill the belly of Muawiyah. And then he may have added, but being a companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he may save himself by borderline. Muawiyah may save himself by borderline. The supporters of Muawiyah, radiallahu anhu, was infuriated. They started beating him and beat him so much that he became very ill. And he asked to be, one narration says that he asked to be taken to Makkah and he died in Makkah. Another narration says that he died in Ramallah or Ramallah. We are not sure exactly where his body is buried. There's a difference in opinion about that. Allah knows best. He passed away on Monday, 13th of Safar, 303 AH. He was born on 214 AH, so about 88 years of age. He passed away, and may Allah, the Most High, have mercy upon him, be pleased with him, and admit him to the loftiest gardens of paradise in the intimate company of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is in brief about Imam al-Nasai. Now, Imam at-Tirmidhi, the fifth Imam in the series. His full name, Imam Ibn Isa Ibn Sawra Ibn Musa Ibn al-Dahhak al-Sulami. Al-Sulami should be the name of his tribe. At-Tirmidhi, the place where he was born in 209, 5 years before Imam al-Nasai, in Tirmiz, located in present-day southern Uzbekistan, and a place known since the time of Alexander the Great. Not very far from where Imam al-Nasai was born, maybe 300 miles away to the south of Nasa or Nisa. Alexander conquered this area, this entire area. So the reason why I've put it in blue is to point out to you the utter, what should I say? I don't have ridiculousness of historians in calling a person who, without any purpose, slaughtered hundreds of thousands of people, and men, women, and children, and took away the honor of so many women, he and his soldiers. And there's hardly a place where I have not come across this term, Alexander the Great. Somebody kills one person, he is a murderer. Few people, he's a murderer. But Alexander is the Great. So you can see in inside Oval, Tirmiz, southernmost point of Uzbekistan, and Nasa would be about 200, 300 miles to the south of Tirmiz. Ancient Tirmiz and present-day Tirmiz. Present-day Tirmiz. Kunya was Abu Isa. Was known as Abu Isa, more commonly as At-Tirmizi or Al-Tirmizi, and the locals call him Tirmiz Ota, or father of Tirmiz, the most famous son of Tirmiz. Was born during Mamun al-Rashid's time, witnessed the adoption of philosophy and non-Islamic ideology and cultural views that crept into the Muslim world and the weakening of the Muslims due to it. Began seeking sacred knowledge in his early 20s in his village of Bug, in Tirmiz area. Then studied under scholars in Khorasan, Makkah, Medina, Basra, Kufa, Wasit, and Rai, Tehran, present-day Tehran. So distance from Tirmiz to Makkah, about 4,500 kilometers, would have taken 111 days. Longer distance he had to travel than Imam al-Nasai, and on foot, possibly around 111 days. Allah knows best. If you're traveling continuously. And please note, these people did not travel for trade, worldly gains, or for conquest. Solely for the pleasure of Allah. And to save us, or try to save us, so that we can get to know authentic hadith, so that we don't have excuse. And the distance from Tirmiz to Tehran, about 2,000 kilometers. And this is based on present-day highway, you know. They had to cross deserts and mountains. And traveling during winter is not easy, neither it is easy during summer. Someone asked him to publish a book with each hadith followed by a clarification of any defects of transmission, words of other imams about the hadith, and jurists and critics out of humility, he held back. He had the scholarship, but he held back for a number of years. Finally, he began compiling it after the year 250 Hijri and completed it. It took him 20 years, 270 Hijri. The full title, the condensed, in English, translated in English, the condensed compilation of traditions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with clarification of the authentic and the defective and what is acted upon. That means what is accepted, authentic. He said, I showed this book to scholars of Hijaz, Khurasan, and Iraq, and they were pleased with it. You see, they were bigger scholars than these people, and therefore he showed it to them. Why their name still stands today is something for us to think about. Whatever the reasons might be, at the end of the day, it is acceptance by Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala looks at our hearts, looked at their hearts and accepted their work. They were bigger scholars. They were pleased with it. So whoever has this book in their home, he's telling us. And all of us have it. Through internet, you can get it free of cost. You don't have to spend $150 or whatever the cost might be, the hard copy. So whoever has this book in their home, then it is as if there is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaking therein. And there is a saying that I heard that when the hadith is narrated before you, consider that I am speaking to you. Ibn al-Athir wrote his book is the best of books, the most benefit, the best ordering, and the least repetition. And it contains what is missing from the other schools of thought. And it clarifies the conditions of the narrations from the sound, the weak, and the anomalous, the doubtful. Contains 3,956 narrations, only 100 of them repeated, covering 2,231 issues in 51, and in some narration says 48 chapters. There are 404 narrations that are unique to At-Tirmizi. That means no other book contains it. Even in Imam Ahmed's Musnad of 28,000 narrations. To him, 300 narrations are alleged to be weak, which is less than 10% overall. And he mentions that these are weak. I will bypass some of them because I knew the time would not permit, only the black part. Went beyond what many other compilers did, giving a brief declaration of the narration's authenticity or not, and also telling readers which imams used the hadith, and also told readers where to find other narrations, same topic, similar to An-Nasai in this sense. Was a direct student of Al-Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, At-Tabari, Ad-Darimi. Al-Bukhari is reported to have said to Al-Tirmizi, I have benefited from you more than you have benefited from me. Al-Bukhari used one hadith narrated by At-Tirmizi from his travels. One. And At-Tirmizi used many ahadith from Al-Bukhari. But Imam Bukhari said, and see their humility, I have benefited from you more than you have benefited from me. I did not want to erase the blue parts. I knew I won't be able to cover because of shortage of time, but I wanted to keep them, and I will post them so that you can get access to whatever I have collected. Took hadith from more than 200 narrators. Numerous journeys helped him get high isnad, meaning shorter chain of narration. So there's less chance of being unauthentic. Was encyclopedic scholar, well-versed in fiqh, like Imam Nasai, Islamic history, Arabic language, and other sciences. The great scholar Abu al-Hasan al-Nadwi said, the first to broach what is called, no, I think I've made a mistake. This goes to Imam al-Nasai. That he took a story about his memory. He took 2 notebooks with hadith from a sheikh, and he wanted to verify He wanted to verify the hadith with the scholar. So he went to the scholar again. He had taken notes, but he took with him the wrong notebooks. So he asked the scholar to repeat those hadiths so he could verify. But when he opened the notebooks, he found that he had taken the wrong notebooks. Actually, the notebooks were blank. And at one point, when the scholar was narrating the hadith that he had mentioned earlier, he saw that the notebook was blank and he got angry and he said, this is you're dealing with me. You have nothing written and you're listening to me and you're saying yes, 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 as if you have the right narration. Why are you doing this? He said, Imam, I brought the wrong notebook, but I remember everything from memory. And the scholar said, okay, say what I said before. And he narrated everything from his memory without any mistake. The scholar said, you memorized them before coming to me. Then the Imam said, okay, you tell me some new hadith. And the scholar mentioned 40 new hadith this time. And then asked him to repeat them. And he repeated the 40 hadith, including the chain of narrations, without a single mistake. He was referred to as Al-Hafiz of Hadith, which was a title that was given to those who could memorize at least 100,000 hadith, complete with chain of narration by heart. His esteem, that means commendations. He was held in universal esteem by scholars for both his hadith mastery and his personal piety, something that goes for all these scholars. Imam al-Hakim said, I heard Umar ibn al-Lak say, Bukhari died and left no one in Khurasan like Abu Isa Tirmizi in knowledge, memorization, piety, and worldly renunciation. Renunciation of the world brings acceptance of Allah Ta'ala. I mean, if I want to make it sound short, he wept until he became blind, and remained in that condition for years. There's a difference of opinion here that he was blind from before, but the overwhelming majority of opinion that I found is that he became blind because of his excessive weeping out of fear of Allah. He wept until he became blind and remained in that condition until he died. Imam Ibn Kathir said he was one of the Imams of Hadith in his age and has a number of famous compilations, such as Al-Jami, about which we mentioned. Some call it Sunan, some call it Jami. Al-Shamail, this is a compilation of appearance and characteristics of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, used today extensively. Asma al-Sahaba and others. The book Al-Jami is one of the 6 hadith works that the scholars refer to. Death, a life replete with knowledge, seeking, traveling for narrating and teaching. A hadith came to an end on Monday, 13th of Rajab, 279 Hijri, in Bug, a village in his hometown, Tirmiz, at the age of 68. Imam Nasai lived at least 15-20 years longer than that, 30 years longer than that. He was buried north of Tirmiz on the outskirts of Shirabad. Allah the Most High, may He have mercy upon him, be pleased with him, and admit him to the loftiest gardens of paradise in the intimate company of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is his masjid, and on one side he is buried. There are graves outside, but he's buried inside on one side in Shirabad. This you will see for most of these people, the grave has a concrete structure or marble structure on it, which is prohibited in Islam, and it comes from his book of Hadith. And people have disobeyed that. Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam forbade it, erecting any structure or whitewashing. So today was the 9th session, 2 sessions on the importance of Sunnah as per Quran. The 3rd session, in that we saw the painstaking process of verifying authentic hadiths and the personalities involved in the process. The 4th and the 5th, we looked at the 4 schools of Islamic jurisprudence. And the 6th one, we tried to understand why differences in the 4 schools. In the 7th one, we went over Imam Bukhari. In the 8th one, achievements of Imams Muslim and Abu Dawud. And in today's session, we looked at the achievements of Imams An-Nasai and At-Tirmidhi, and few concluding words. Very briefly, it won't take much time. These sessions centering around ilm are unlike any other sessions that we hold in worldly terms. These are for bringing change in us, in our iman and amilus salihah. And we are going through something entirely different from what we do in worldly terms. We want to bring change in ourselves. It's not just for the sake of seeking ilm, change in ourselves. And Allah Ta'ala says, I will bypass this one for today. So before we die, and that can happen anytime, we have to graduate to complete submission of Allah, meaning complete obedience, meaning be on complete deen. And this is from the previous session. Enter into Islam completely. Udkhulu fi silmi kaffa. First we make intention, then make dua. We make intention that we want to be in complete deen. The intention has to be there first. Otherwise, how can we progress in deen? How can we graduate into higher and higher levels? Intention has to be there. But that is not enough. Acceptance by Allah, and for that we need to make dua, and then we need to seek knowledge. This is drawing upon previous week and what Tawheed mentioned in one of his halakas. And then practice on what we learn and invite others. We are used to certain lifestyle, all of us. In the army, in the navy, in the air force, in civilian life, in worldly teaching or science and engineering, and whatever profession we might be in, we are used to a certain lifestyle. And discharging our life, living our life according to our whims and wishes, not according to dictates of anybody, including Allah Ta'ala, out of ignorance. So we were dictated by shaitan sometimes, by our base desires sometimes, shaped by worldly attraction sometimes, and nudging of men overpowered by shaitan sometimes. We need unflinching intention, first and foremost. Fervent dua, serious knowledge seeking, and dedicated practice and propagation. I fear our worldly pursuits and lack of ilm does not even make us realize how far away we are from true iman and amilus salihah. We do not even understand. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. In general, we do not even understand how far away we are from true Islam, the Islam that was delivered to us by Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And today it is home delivered. However antiquated that path may seem to us, therein lies salvation and peace in this world and eternal peace and bliss. We are running after mirage, an illusory life of glitter that is bound to bring doom and dismay. For the most part, we are following those who are themselves lost in worldly wilderness. If we follow the blind, how can we attain salvation?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu wassalamu ala ashraful anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi yassir wa la tuwassir wa tammin bil khair. Rabbi zidni ilma. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So last week we studied hadith number 26, and this week inshallah we study hadith number 27 and continue. I think after this hadith number 27, I'll take a break for a few weeks because my year-end exam is coming up. So maybe I'll start again from middle of next month. But that means from 13th November, we start studying hadith again. And in the meantime, we take a break, inshallah.
General Jahangir, please note.
So today we're studying hadith number 27. This hadith, this title is Bir and Ism. So what is Bir and what is Ism, we will learn from this hadith also, inshallah. Let me read the hadith in Arabic first. Anin Nawas. This hadith is from Nawas ibn Sam'ana. So Anin Nawas ibn Sam'ana radiyallahu anhu. Anin Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam call. Al-birru husnul kuluk. Al-ismu ma haka fi nafsika. Wa karihta ayyat tali'ah alayhin nas. So this hadith number 27 is actually Imam Nabawi, he actually combined two hadiths. One hadith is from Muslim and one hadith is from Abu Dawud and Darakutni. One hadith is from Musnad ibn Ahmed and Ad-Darakutni. Ad-Darakutni, just now, today, Abdul Hamid mentioned about him today. Yeah, so this name is very, today is relevant, actually. So first one that I read just now, Al-Birru Husnul Kuluk wa ismu mahaka fi nafsik wa karihta ayyat tali'ah alayhin nas. This is the first hadith which is narrated in Muslim. The meaning is Al-Birru Husnul Kuluk. Bir is a good character. Al-Ismu Mahaka fi nafsik. And is is a sin, actually sin, but there's many different words used in Quran for sin. This is one of it. So Ismu Mahaka fi nafsik. So sin is something that creates hesitation within us. Wa karihta ayyat tali'a alayhin nas. And which ism or sin is which that we hate, that we don't like, that some other person will find it out. This is what is ism, or what is sin. So the second part of this hadith, which is collected from Ahmed ibn from the Musnad of Ahmed ibn Hanbal and Darakutni, is wa an wabisa ibn Ma'bad, wa an wabisa ibn Ma'bad radiyallahu anhu call. Jita tas'alu anil birri. Jita tas'alu anil birri. This actually means you come to me to ask about bir. So Rasulullah asking about, telling him that you come to me to ask about bir. Qultu na'am. I said yes. Qala. Rasulullah said, Istafti kalbuka. Istafti kalbuk. Ask your heart. Al-birru ma Al-birru mat ma'annat ilayhi nafsu wa it ma'anna ilayhi kalbu. So bir is what your nafs and your nafs and your kal, yourself and your heart is tranquil with. It ma'anna. We read some of the surahs mutmainna, so it's the same one. So it's tranquility. Bir is something that brings tranquility to ourselves and to our heart. Wa ismu mahaka fi nafsi wa taradda. And sin is something that brings agitation. Wa in aftaka nasu wa aftauka. Even if someone give assurance that it is permissible. That means the sin is something that brings agitation to us and our sadr, our heart, our chest. And even if some knowledgeable man give you assurance that it is permissible. So, okay, we'll study this one later on. We'll explain on this again. So, first hadith is from Muslim, is of course Sahih, and the second hadith is from Ahmed from the Musnad, from Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal and Darqutni is a good hadith. That means Hasan hadith. Okay, this is the altogether is the hadith. Let us understand the hadith. So we will try to understand few things. What is right? What is speed? What is speed? We try to understand, and then in Islamic perspective, what is good character? We'll try to understand, and then we'll see that okay, how this thing create a agitation or create a tranquility. We'll see in step by step. So first thing they say, al birru husnul khuluq, righteousness. Bir is translated in English righteousness. Righteousness is good character. But we often understand that righteousness is performing salah, siyam, being just, or pay zakat, all these things. But righteousness is not only that. This matter is just the foundation of righteousness. There is performing salat, siyam, zakat, hajj, and behave justly. All these matters are just foundation of righteousness. But final destination of the righteousness is good character. So Messenger of Allah said that the one who struggle for good character are equivalent to those who who fast during day and pray during whole night. So the importance of good character is very clearly mentioned here, that those who struggle for good character is equivalent to those who fast whole day and pray whole night. So practically it's impossible to fast every day and pray every night, because that will make us weak. And we'll have physical problems. But it is quite possible, and it's possible that we struggle for best character. And when you struggle for best character, we achieve something that is actually impossible to achieve by other means. That's the main thing that they want to project here. It is better, and it is always better to to have a good character, then any nawafil ibadat. Good character is much better than any nawafil ibadat. Of course, faraj ibadat is our priority. That is our top priority. That one, no compromise. But good character is much better than any nawafil ibadat. Heaviest thing on the day of Qiyamah is our good deeds. And half our deen is the relationship with Allah, and the rest half of our deen is the relationship with other creation. Okay, so bead is the relationship with other creation. So usually when we talk about the relationship with Allah, we talk about taqwa. We say taqwa. And when you talk about the relationship with other creations, it's bead. So relationship with our parents is bead. Relationship with our friends is bead. Relationship with our neighbor, relationship with other people, miskin, yatim, all these are bead. So performing righteous deeds. So this relationship has a bead has a two characteristics as a relationship with the creation, and performing the or maintaining the relationship in a manner that is not only pleasing to Allah but also pleasing to the other person. That means when we deal with our parents, it must be in a manner that is pleasing to our parents. When we deal with our colleagues or deal with yatim, deal with masakin, it not only it has to be in according to the uh, instruction of Allah, but also it must be pleasing to them. It must be pleasing to them. That means we cannot do something to anybody which is not pleasing to them. This is a challenge. This is really a challenge. There's good husnul khuluq. It not just following instruction of prohibition and instruction of religion. It also has to be pleasing. So there's an important ayat from Surah Baqarah, ayat number 177. Without this one, we do not understand what is being. So this ayat is quite long, actually, quite long. So if someone memorize, actually last time I memorized this ayah, but long time I didn't practice. Laisa birra an tuwallu uzuhakum kibala al-mashriqi wal maghribi walakinna birra man amana billahi wal yawmil akhir wal malaikati wal kitabi wal nabiyina wal ata mala ala hubbihi zawil kurba wal yatama wal masakini wabnas sabili was-sa'ilina وفي الركاب وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة وموفون بعهدهم إذا عهد والصابرين في البأساء والضراء أولئك هم أولئك هم الصادقون وأولئك هم المتقون. So this is Laisa birra an tuwallu. It is not righteousness that you turn your face towards east or west. But true righteousness is in one who believe in Allah, last day, angel and the book and the prophet, and the wealth in spite of love for it, and give wealth in spite of love for it, to relative, to orphan, to needy, to traveler, to those who ask for freeing slave and who establish prayer, give zakah, and fulfill the promises that when they make promise, and those who are patient in their poverty and worship and during battle. These are the one who are true, and these are the one who was righteous. So this is the main Quranic verse that has been used to explain the righteousness. Righteousness is uh, not only facing the facing west or east. It is doing all these things. The first part is with Allah, which is the foundation of peace, and the second part with all the creation, all the creation, in a manner that is pleasing to them. So that is our understanding about these. And we also try to understand here that what is khuluk. Khuluk. So what is khuluk? Khuluk is a character that is natural, and it naturally comes to us. No thinking, no pondering. These are not required. So something that is very natural, that somebody, when he talk, he always smile. Somebody keep his eyes, gaze lower. Somebody stay humble. Somebody stay very arrogant. These are all natural. And this is what is khuluk. And, and the khuluk has two characteristics. One is that the man is born with. Some characteristics of the khuluk character is the man get from his birth. Uh, it's not taught. He didn't learn it uh, uh, eh, after birth. This is a natural characteristic. Somebody shy, somebody very active, somebody very quiet, somebody inward, somebody extra. What those?
Extrovert.
Yeah, extrovert. So So these are the characteristics they got from his birth. So that is also part of kuluk. And the second part of kuluk is something that we find beneficial, then we practice it and become good at it. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned, man sabara sabbarahuma, man sabara sabbarahuma. Whoever tries to be patient, granted patience. Innamal ilmu bi ta'lam ta'allam, innamal ilmu bi ta'allam, wa innamal hilmu bi tahlul. Knowledge can be learned by seeking, and perseverance comes by trying to perseverance. So all these things shows that human being is capable to change. Human being is capable to change. Although most of the human being, majority of us, we don't want to change. We resist change. So this is we also know from the social science that we know comfort zone, that people don't want to come out of his comfort zone. But we have the potential to change. We have the potential to change. So above definition of khuluk actually is not complete. Actually, also it's not complete also, because there's 2 points is missing here. One is intention. One is knowledge. So we know that all our action actually is the result of our intention. It's the result of our intention. So even though we have a good character, the intention must be there. Intention must be there, and also knowledge. This knowledge, human being acquired through experience, from the parents, from the neighbors, from the society, and from their idols, from celebrity, social celebrity. They try to follow the social celebrity, so they learn from here. So this become a part of their khuluq. But in Islamic perspective, the khuluq is something that is mentioned by Ibn Taymiyyah, that khuluq is something in Islamic perspective that some of the uh, some of the element of our akhlaq that increase our iman. That is the main portion of the khuluq in Islamic perspective, like sabr, like help, like we talk less. All these things, also the part of our khuluq, part of our character, but these are the elements that in turn increase our iman. Sabr, health, talking less, eating less, eh, studying more. These are the things. Inquisitiveness, curiosity, all these things, they actually, in another way, they increase our iman. So, in Islamic perspective, we always pay attention on those elements that affect our iman, inshallah. So, in Islamic perspective, khuluk has been good character has been assigned or classified under few category that our khuluk is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our good character, our khuluk is with human being, believer or non-believer. Then our khuluk is with ourselves, and then our khuluk is with rest of the creation, and our khuluk with our property. So there is a five major class. So this class has been actually divided out in this class, in this different class, so that we can understand. It's easier to understand. So when you talk about a good akhlaq with Allah, what do we mean? So it's easy to understand. Good akhlaq with Allah means believe in everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written down in his book. So we must have belief on everything that is written down in the book, whether we see or we don't see. Like Malaikat, like Jahannam, and paradise, Jannat, we don't see. But since it's written down, we must have faith on it. And also second part is we obey, that Allah asks us to obey and abstain from what Allah made prohibited. So this is also a part of good character and in Islamic perspective. And number three, be patient with the qadar of Allah, with the decision. So last time I mentioned, I think we say we have a dua that we say Allahumma inni asaluka rida ba'dal qada, means make Allah, we want happiness, we want pleasure upon your decree, Allahumma inni as'aluka rida ba'dal qada. So this three is the main element of good akhlaq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That means when we do this thing, when we do this practice, this three element in our akhlaq, we will not be unhappy or unsatisfied, or we will not pass any comment about Allah, or will not ridicule, or this type of things will come in. So there's a question come out here, that a man is not a believer, but he has the best character. How do we explain that? This is something quite difficult to explain, but maybe I have to study more on this thing. But basically, what they say is, it's like if I don't behave properly with my father, that means I ask my father to go out from the home, I snatch away his property, I ask him forcefully, write down all his property under my name, but I do a lot of good work, a lot of beneficial work to other people, but I don't deal nicely with my parents. So how we think about this man? So this man, we must think that this man has a different agenda, because he don't deal nicely with his parents, but he deal nicely with other people in his locality. So this is a similar situation when people do not believe in Allah, but he has a best character. So we have to think that he must have a different agenda, which is not very clear. Only he knows what his agenda is. We do not know. So this guy is actually is a doubtful guy. So we don't think that he has a best character, although apparently it looks like a best. He has a best character, although he's not a believer. This is how we look at it. But this is the thing that we still have to study more about how to explain this thing nicely and accept in an actual manner to the, especially to the non-believer. Because this is one of the questions that you will face, especially I face every time, that they say that, oh, you go to Europe, they are not believer, but they have such a good character. They have such a good character. So this is one of the things that we must understand and we study to understand this issue, so that we can encounter such situation when we come across with such question in our life. So let's we talk about this Allah good akhlaq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then next step is our good akhlaq with other people, whether believer or non-believer. So with other people, the good character in Islamic perspective is overlooking other people's fault. Most important thing, overlook other people's fault, because we know if nobody is flawless, everybody has fault. So I also have fault. So why should I concern so much with other people's fault? And second thing is forgiving other people's fault. Forgiving other people's fault. So there's a story of Abu Bakr, Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used to support financially a person, and this person, after the incidents of Aisha radiallahu anhu, the daughter of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, that he start talking bad things about Aisha radiallahu anhu together with the Jews. So when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came to know this situation, then he promised that I will not support him financially. I will not support him financially. So there's a verse came down. I think there's a verse came down. Which surah I don't remember right now, but there's a verse came down in Quran that if you support someone, you do not take out just for your personal your personal liking or personal preference. You don't put your personal benefit between this uh, uh, financial support, or between what you are doing. Sadaqah is you doing it for Allah, not for yourself. That's the main concept. So here also there's a controversy that I came across. Many people don't agree that they say that if I know that somebody is going to do something against Islam, should I help them or not? Should I help them or not? So mostly it is not our decision. It is not our knowledge that we know whether he is going to do something bad against Islam or not. We think that he will do that, but he may not do that. So it is not the valid reason to stop helping needy. just because that we think that he will do something against Islam. So in Quran also it's mentioned very clearly that uh, when you give a when you spend money in the path of Allah, it's like we are giving a good loan. We are giving a good loan to Allah. So there's a quite a few surah that's talking about this thing that uh, yukridullahu karadan hasana. Yukridullahu karadan hasana. So one of these things that uh, how we deal with believer and non-believer. First thing, we overlook their faults, and second thing, forgive their sins. And the third thing, stand out to help in the time of need. So very important point here. In the time of, you have to help him when he needs it. Sometimes, even I also do. After reading this one, I remember that someone asked me some financial help. Then I asked him, give me some time. So he said, can you give me in, let's say, in next month 15? So I didn't mean, I wait for my convenience. So when my money is available, then I give him. So I actually give him end of the month. So according to this, my akhlaq is not good. My akhlaq is not good. I didn't help him in the time when he need, but I helped him when it is suitable for me. So this is one of the things that we learn from the hadith. Be good to people, be good to enemy, be good to enemy, extra good, because your enemy can change. Your enemy might change. And so there's a story of uh, one of the Sahaba, but that time he was not Sahaba, that time he was uh, a part of Quraysh and Mushrik. His name is Afwan bin Umayyah. Afwan bin Umayyah was from the family of Abu Sufyan, so he was a very powerful Quraysh. And uh, after a battle with some of the tribe, Rasulullah was distributing camel, and this guy was passing by. So for fun, he come and asked Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah. He didn't say Ya Rasulullah. He just said, give me something. So Rasulullah gave him 100 camel. Oh, he was surprised. He was surprised, and he thought maybe Rasulullah want to show. So he asked again, give me. And Rasulullah gave him another 100 camel. He was surprised and couldn't believe. So he tried again. He said, give me. And Rasulullah gave him again 100 camel. And after that, he was so moved, he accepted Islam. So this is one of the example that just because he's mushrik, you cannot use we cannot use a second double standard. We cannot have a double standard for Muslim and for non-Muslim. So also this is a uh, elements of good akhlaq with other human being. So first one is a overlooking their fault. Second thing is forgiving his sin, and third thing, stand out to help him in the time of need. Okay, so from the akhlaq part that we are studying, so third part is a uh, good akhlaq to ourselves. Good akhlaq to ourselves. What does it mean? It has a two meaning. One is a spiritual level, one is a physical level. Spiritual level is a do justice irrespective of whether it benefits you or not, whether he's a relative to you or not. So do justice. So that means when we know something is wrong, we must stay away from it. When we know something is good, right, we must support it. So this is the good akhlaq to ourselves, and spiritually and physically we must take care of our body. We must stay clean, we must stay healthy. These are good akhlaq, part of good akhlaq. And this is also, good health is a blessing. So Allah has given us the blessing. So please take care of it. Take care of it. Spend some of it for sadaqah. Spend some of it for gratitude for others' help. All right. So next one is be good with the rest of the creation. So rest of the creation actually means is a whatever non-human, non-human. There are animals. There are non-living things, non-living things. So we know that how to take care of our environment. There's a lot of hadith talking about supporting our environment. Lot of hadith like uh, cleaning the harmful thing from the road, all these things, and also for for other creation. Of course, we all know the famous hadith of a prostitute, because he gave him water to the dog, and that make him go to Jannah. And there is another hadith that one of the lady, she has a cat, and she kept the cat in his uh, cat house, and he didn't feed him properly. So finally, the cat died, and Allah was so angry with the lady, and He sent him to hell, to Jahannam for this thing. So that is what two hadiths discussing about or pointing out that how we should deal with animal. So those animal, even pig, although haram, even the harmful thing like snakes, they have also right on us. We have the permission to kill harmful animal, but we shouldn't do it unless it is really required. Unless it's really required. Last time, if we can remember, last time in our country, Bangladesh, how they kill the dog. Usually, the stray dog, and they come up with a big uh, stick, and they beat and kill. This is not allowed. This is not allowed. Totally not allowed. You cannot kill them because you are unnecessarily. And then the last one is about property. So for our property, we have a right on our property, and we should be dealing with them. And also, we must observe miras, and we also must observe, like, how to say, other mishandling of property, or taking others' property uh, forcefully or unlawfully. Even this saving our property, if somebody die saving his own property, he is considered shahid. He is considered shahid. But that shahid is not the same shahid as shahid in the battle, but this is also a type of shahid. Okay. So how do we achieve good akhlaq? How do we achieve good akhlaq? So there's few ways to achieve good akhlaq. Many ulama they have mentioned. First one is studying Quran and Sunnah. So when we study Quran and Sunnah, we know what Allah likes and what Allah doesn't like, and we try to learn and practice all these things. Then second thing is being close contact with the righteous people. It's very important to stay close contact with the righteous people. That's why in Islamic education system, it's not just the education. You have to stay with your teacher so that you can learn the righteousness from them. You can learn the right lessons from them. So it's like modern education system. We can learn from Google, but Islamic education system that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. And it is you can find knowledgeable men, but it's very difficult to find good character people. Very difficult to find. Very difficult to find. Yeah. So one of the habit is here. You can see that actually the one of the hadith explainer he was talking that he has a teacher. He has a teacher, and his teacher is so gentle and so how to say he always keep his gaze lower. He don't look at anybody's eyes. He look down always, and this is a habit. And he is a teacher. He's a teacher. So his politeness, his habit makes him unique. So students, they used to learn from him that how to lower their gait. But just reading the book is not easy to learn how to lower our gait all the time. So the third thing, learn bad consequences of of bad khuluk, bad character. So in the Quran and Hadith and many other stories, we will find that those people who has bad character, what was the end result? So from there we can learn. And also look at the khuluk of Rasulullah. Our Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the best person. So we should learn best character from him. And then we also should learn from the life of Sahaba, those who have very good character. And it's all example for us. Imam Ibn Qayyum, he mentioned that consciousness about Allah will help us to achieve good character. If we always think that, oh, Allah is watching us, angels are writing down what we are doing, and we will be questioned on our action, on our deeds, then this awareness will help us to achieve good character. The last, the scholars mentioned, making dua. So they say, it's written in the book that Rasulullah when he go in front of mirror, when he go in front of mirror, he make dua. Allahumma ahsanta khalki, ahsanu khuluki. Meaning, oh Allah, you give me, Allahumma ahsanta khalki, you give me a good appearance. Also give me a good ahsanu khuluki. Also give me a good character. Rasulullah himself, he makes this dua. So quite interesting. There's many other dua in hadith about for seeking good character. So let us look at the hadith again, inshallah. So we say that the first part of the hadith is talking about al-birru husnul khuluq wa ismu ma haka fi nafsik wa karihta ayya tali'u alayhin nas. So talking about bir is good character and ism is which. Ism is that which makes us agitated and which we would hate for people to discover. So it is actually discussing what is ism. It is ism makes us agitated, and we also don't like that. Other people will find it out. So in Quran, sin, for the sin, there's a lot of word has been used. Some people say there's 12 words for used in the Quran for sin. Though some of them are ism, fisk, kufur, shirk, nifaq, al-bagi, zulum, khotaya, and dam. These are some of them, but there are more. I don't have a 12 word list here, so whatever I have, I just let you know. But there's total 12. So these 12 thing, this thing is blameworthy, and people, when they come across this thing, they feel shy, they feel agitated, and they don't like that people find it out. This is the talking about first hadith. And the second hadith, also very interesting. Second hadith, they're saying that it is from the Wabisa ibn Mabad. He said, I came to Messenger of Allah, and Messenger of Allah asked me, you have come to ask me about beat? I said, yes. He said, ask your heart for a judgment. Ask your heart for a judgment. Peace is that towards which the self is tranquil, and towards which the heart is tranquil. And ism is that which becomes agitated in the self, and it goes agitatedly to and fro in the breast, even though people repeatedly give you judgment as to the matter's permissibility. So here's a beautiful event from the hadith that Adam alayhi salam giving some advice to his family, So he was telling them, if you want to do something, then if your heart is agitated, do not do it. For when I drew near to the eating from the tree, my heart was agitated at the eating. But Adam alayhi salam actually didn't pay attention to that. But he get the lesson from here that when he went to eat from the forbidden tree, his heart was agitated. But he didn't pay much attention to that. He listened to the shaitan and ate the prohibited fruit. So he is advising his family member, if your heart is agitated, don't do that thing. Then again, Adam salam giving other advice, continue his advice. If you want to do something, then look at its consequences. For if I had looked at the consequences of eating, I would not have eaten from the tree. So look at the consequences, what will happen later on. Then he continued, Adam continued to advise again, continued to advise more. If you want to do something, take advice from the experienced people. For if I had taken advice from the angel, they would have advised me not to eat from the tree. But Adam also didn't take advice from the angel also. But he learned from this mistake. That's why this sin, the last hadith we are talking about one other thing, that there is some sin bring you closer to Allah. This is a sin that actually bring Adam closer to Allah. So actually this sin is actually beneficial for him. So he is now advising his family about this thing. So this advice is very much relevant to this hadith. So sometimes what happens that people are regarding marriage, regarding other contradiction in the confusion, or what to say, not clear thing, that whether this food is halal or haram. Sometimes it's not, the things are not clearly mentioned. Like uh, I want to buy some organic fruits. So this organic fruits doesn't have, it is vegetarian, so this doesn't have a halal sign. So whether I buy or no buy. So if I ask a mufti maybe say that, oh, if it is permissible, you can buy it. But still my heart is has confusion. It's not 100% sure whether the mufti is right or wrong. My heart is still uh, cannot accept the advice of the mufti unanimously or without any doubt. So this is the thing that sometimes the hadith saying that even sometimes how the people assure you about the permissibility of the doubtful thing, but still your heart remains doubtful. Similarly, this book have mentioned that uh, that uh, that one man is going to marry a girl. So someone said that this girl also take milk from your milk mother, wet mother. So so someone said that this girl also suck milk from your wet mother. So when they suck milk from the wet mother, they actually become brother sister. Marriage is not acceptable. So this man go to Mufti. So Mufti look for evidence. There is no clear evidence. So Mufti say, okay, because of the lack of evidence, you are allowed to marry. You are allowed to marry. So, but this man is still remain doubtful whether the uh, the decision given by Mufti is fully right or not right. So these are the things he's talking about, and please, so this hadith is talking about avoid this type of confusing things as much as possible. But because sometimes there's situations that when you go for travel, when you go actually not when we go for travel, when people in the past used to go for travel, for them some of the food, especially doubtful food, become uh, halal because of that. This is one of the advantage of traveling. Then like Jumma prayer, when you travel, Jumma prayer become no more. It is not more wajib anymore. Jumma prayer not wajib. We can pray uh, Johor prayer. So these are the one advantages, uh, or these are the what we say that benefit or special benefit given for the traveler. All right. So this is mainly total concept of this hadith, and I will end here.
Ya Allah will accept us, guide us, protect us, bless us, and make us means of blessings and guidance for others. Every Muslim is supposed to be a means of blessings and guidance for others. We pray for all those who passed away from amongst our fraternity or from amongst our family. And we pray for all those who are sick from amongst our family of fraternity. Farooq Amin, Amir Hussain, Mrs. Maskura Ayub, Abul Barkat from 6th batch, Panna, 6th batch, dialysis patient, Mrs. Mahfuz Reza. Cancer has re-emerged. Doctors are not treating her. Abdul Rauf, Saif's father-in-law, Jahangir from 24th batch, who underwent kidney transplant, Amir Faisal, Mustafiz Nobel, He's doing better after his chemotherapy. Colonel Aftab's wife, who's a cancer patient. Farooq, who needs liver transplant, is in New Delhi. Apil Musa, who underwent neck surgery for his neurological concussion, suffered in 1995. We pray for Dr. Nuri Alam, who underwent surgery day before yesterday and is recovering. Alhamdulillah, he is released from hospital to remove tumor from his kidney, and it will undergo biopsy. May Allah Ta'ala grant him clean bill of health. And may Allah Ta'ala grant complete shifa to Naimur Rahman of 46th batch, who's suffering since he 46th batch, so 6-7 years ago, after he graduated from or passed out from RCC. He has been suffering from neurological complications, and in the last 6 or 7 years, he has only finished 2 years of university because of his complications. So please pray for him. And Shopnil, 51st batch, graduated, passed out about 1 year ago. He's undergoing cancer treatment. And everybody else whom I have missed, may Allah grant shifa, and may Allah accept us. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, jazallahu anna Muhammadan sallallahu alayhi wa sallam ma huwa ahluhu. Request to you all, I remain so busy in preparing these take inordinate time that it becomes difficult for me to invite. You can think of so many people from your friends and batchmates and acquaintances and relatives who can benefit. As I said, this series, I feel so grateful to Allah Ta'ala that I could get to know about the process of collection of authentic hadith by very, very dedicated people, traveling 3,000 miles or 4,500 kilometers in those days, walking at most on camelback in summer and winter and autumn and fall, in sun and rain, in cold and heat. It was not easy. It gives you a greater sense of the wealth of knowledge that has been collected for us, for our benefit, greater reliance on those. And everything has been brought at our fingertips. There is no excuse now. But there are some people who are in oblivion. They need to be knocked at. In Orca USA reunions at the time of Maghrib, when on one side the cultural program would start or would be going on, time for Maghrib. So we come to Maghrib on right outside the hall. Cultural program was going on right outside that. I think only 5 out of 50 would join us. For the most part, 10%. So this education that we went through, it's not just Cadet College education in general, where there is Iman and Amal, teaching of Iman and Amal, and about Quran and Hadith, where there is in our own homes actually. So those of us who Allah Ta'ala has blessed with some understanding, it is our duty. As I was saying I'm fond of saying, a blind dog cannot see the fire and it is walking towards fire. Our heart cries out and we say, stop the dog, it will burn. But beautiful human beings are walking towards the fire of Jahannam, and our heart doesn't cry, even when we are practicing. So what sort of practice is that? I want to ask, do we really have that, conviction that there is hellfire, that there is heaven and hell, that there is punishment in the grave, that there is grave condition on the day of judgment? Indescribable. All these conditions are indescribable. And if we do have, where is that yearning? May Allah accept us. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Jazallahu anna Muhammadan sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. La ilaha illallahul halimul kareem. Subhanallahi rabbil arshil azim. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Asaluka mujibati rahmatika wa zaima magfiratika wa ghanimata min kulli birru wa salamata min kulli ism. La tadallana zamban illa ghafartahu wa la hamman illa farajtahu. ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا مجاهدا إلا نصرته ولا مظلوما إلا نصرته ولا مسلما إلا رحمته ولا حاجة هي لك رضا إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين يا أرحم الراحمين يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أسألك من خير ما سألك منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذك منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. أنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم اغفر لي ولوالدنا وجميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك مجيب الدعوات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Oh Allah, you have given us the tawfiq to listen to you and to your Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and to about some of your illustrious abd. Oh Allah, you give us the understanding. We know so many things, but we don't have understanding. Oh Allah, you accept us, Allah. Forgive our sins. We are underneath a sea of sins since we were born, Allah, since we have some consciousness, Allah. Away and further away from you and the way of life brought by Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Neither were they presented before us, nor did we have the urge to know about them. And when they are presented before us, we ran away, or even after knowing, we ignored Allah. Now we submit to you, Allah. Oh Allah, you accept us, Allah. Oh Allah, the boy has come back to his home, Allah. And the boy has come back to his source. Oh Allah, we come from you and we will have to go back to you, Allah. Oh Allah, you accept us, Allah. Everything is in your acceptance, Allah, not in our understanding. Our understanding is nil. Our knowledge is nil. Our power is nil. Our existence is nil, Allah. It is because of you, Allah. You accept us, Allah. Oh Allah, you accept us under the shade of your mercy, under the shade of your hidayat, under the shade of your rahmat, under the shade of your maghfirah. Oh Allah. And whatever we have been able to recite, may we understand it fully and keep us in the pursuit of knowledge and amal salihah. May we be able to improve our deeds every day, make it more beautiful every day, and strengthen our iman more and more, and strengthen our deeds more and more, so that we can be on complete deen, Allah. We can understand our obligation towards you and understand our obligation towards fellow human beings. And may we be able to remember you in all conditions, and may we be able to convey deen, practice on deen and convey deen to others and meet our obligations to others. And whatever obligations we have not been able to meet, we have hurt people, we have harmed people. Oh Allah, we have caused injustice, Allah. You give recompense from your side to them so that they forgive us on the day of judgment, Allah. Oh Allah. Otherwise, we'll be destroyed. Oh Allah, you give us a way of life, the ability to follow the footsteps of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam solely for your pleasure, and give us some of the beautiful qualities, husn akhlaq, husnul khuluq of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, so we may be able to discharge our obligations towards fellow human beings. Allah, we raise our hands before you. You know the inner condition of our heart and our inner yearnings, our wishes and desires. Fulfill what is good for us in this life and give the rest in the hereafter if something is not good for us in this life. Remove our difficulties, remove our illnesses, or that of our children, or that of our family members, or that of our friends. And remove the difficulties of people anywhere in the world, especially the problem they face with regard to hidayat. That is the wealth that we need the most, Allah, the whole of mankind. Save us and our progeny, save all Muslims and their progeny. Guide all mankind and their progeny. All the difficulties that people are in different parts of the world, only you can remove. All injustices that they are in, only you can remove. Allah, you accept us, Allah, from shaitan, from nafs, from dunya, attractions of dunya, and the whisperings of evil people. Not for a single moment do you leave us to these. Hold our hand and take us until the last moment with kalama in our tongue, in our heart, iman, and your remembrance. Take us when you are pleased with us, so that in every stage of akhirah, we can get your best behavior. And whatever we have been able to recite, Allah, accept with all their shortcomings. Whatever we have been able to say and listen to, with all their shortcomings, accept them and convey the blessings to our near ones and dear ones and our friends and our relatives. Expand their grave, and to all Muslims, expand their graves, fill their graves with nur, make their graves a garden of Jannatul Firdaus, and may we get similar treatment from you, Allah, when we enter our graves. Oh Allah, raise them underneath your arsh on the day of judgment, Allah, and keep them worry free on that tumultuous day, and make our hisab easy, and give our book of deeds in the right hand, and may our relatives also and friends also get similar treatment from you, and enable them to cross the sirat with the wink of an eye, and enable us to cross the sirat with the wink of an eye. Enable them to enter Jannatul Firdaus without any reckoning, and enable us to enter Jannatul Firdaus without any reckoning, so that we can live in peace and bliss and live through endless reunions and get-togethers in the companionship of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam underneath the shade of your mercy forever and forever. You accept us, accept all our yearnings, our neck hajat, اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم أسألك إيمانا كاملا يقينا صادقا علما نافعا رزقا واسعا عملا صالحا حياة طيبة دعاء مستجاب لسانا ذاكرا قلبا خاشعا رزقا حلالا طيبا شفاء من كل داء يا كثير الحاجات يا رفيع الدرجات يا حلال المشكلات يا موجب الدعوات برحمتك نستغيث يا أول الأولين يا آخر الآخرين يا أكرم الأكرمين يا أرحم الراحمين يا راحم المساكين يا ذي القوة المتين والله you accept us Allah يا ذي القوة المتين you accept us Allah you accept us Allah কবুল করো আল্লাহ কবুল করো আল্লাহ তোমার রহমতের ছায়া তলে ঠাঁই দিও তোমার হেদায়েতের ছায়া তলে ঠাঁই দিও তোমার মাগফিরাতের ছায়া তলে ঠাঁই দিও তোমার হেফাজতের ছায়া তলে ঠাঁই দিও ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم وتب علينا انك انت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين لا اله الا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم امين يا رب العالمين امين يا رب العالمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته inshallah we'll meet next Sunday may Allah give us tawfiq and for that it will help if we remind each other and